sort of a melancholy day for me, everybody, man. I got some sad news. People who follow me on Instagram know the great Cleo Renee Diego Burr passed away this week. My beloved pit bull. Cleo! I always got it. That's always good for my soul to yell. I used to always yell that. And I'd hear her come run, something like a Clydesdale coming to the door. She was just the best. But I'm not as sad as I thought I was going to be because, when I had to, I'll give you, don't have the backstory. Basically, the dog was born in 2008. It was abandoned. It was found by the L.A. River, shivering and all of that. This nice woman found her, brought her to work. My wife agreed to, air quote, foster her, and they know what that means. You're going to fall in love with her, which is what we did. And, the dog was very complex, had a lot of issues, loved us, was an absolute teddy bear. I could do whatever I wanted to it, but anybody else other than like 4 or 5 people came through the door, and she was just super aggressive. And then it got to the point where she was trying to bite people. And ended up finding this trainer, Lynn Boyke, who had a business out here called Zen for Canines, and he helped us begin to rehabilitate her, but we were never able to quite get her there, and she was a very, very difficult case. And so then, she stayed with us and all of that, right through me getting married and all of that, and I used to take her on hikes every single day, and she was just the best. We absolutely loved her, but, we definitely had to put her in a different room when company came over. And, but whatever. She was, she was like a comedian, completely fucked up, but had a great heart. So, I'm trying to keep this light. So when 2016 came around and my wife was pregnant with our wonderful daughter, we both knew in the back of our heads, like, we just can't risk. How is she going to behave with the new person when it's a baby? So we held on as long as we could. My wife gave birth in January, and in December, end of November, I looked at her and I was like, we're going to have to give her to somebody else. And she just said, I know. So we looked at all these places. There was shelters. I'm like, I'm not putting her in a shelter. No one's going to take a 10-year-old pit bull at that point, 9-year-old pit bull with behavioral issues. She'll get put down. I don't want to do that. Then they had a no-kill shelter, and I was like, she hates being by herself. I'm not doing that. So we worked something out with Lynn that he would take her, but I would still pay to board her and all of that for the rest of her life. So that's essentially what happened. She was still my dog, but he had her, and once a month or so, he'd bring her over where we were at, and I'd still take her for a walk and all that. And so I still got to see her and everything. And then eventually Lynn, who's now based in Arizona, they went out to Arizona, but he would still come back for business out here. And I still got to see her like once every 6 weeks. So, but he would always send me videos. And because she was now with a master, Lynn Boyke, who's absolutely incredible, Linn, I think it's Boyke. You should look this guy up if you have any issues with your dog. This guy's incredible. And I remember the first time we dropped her off, the dog was trying to kill him, and I handed the leash to him, and I did it in the wrong way, and he was wearing these baggy pants, and the dog bit down on his pants, and we were standing there trying to help, and he's going, get out of here, just leave. I'm like, really? He goes, get out of here. So we got in the car, and we left, and because he understood with dogs that, like, the dog was protecting us, and then once we left, the dog's like, all right, now what the fuck am I doing? It just kind of stopped. So we have many of those stories. But anyway, Lynn would try to teach us as much as he could. But at the end of the day, we weren't him, and we didn't have his skill set. So anyway, he would come back from Arizona, and I remember, I always had guilt because I always thought, well, what if she actually got along with our daughter? Because, I cried like a baby when I had to give her away. And I remember, so I brought her over. I had her on the leash, and I made sure, there was no way she was going to get away or anything like that. Obviously, I had her on the leash and had her collar, leash in one hand and the collar, right? So I let her fixate that my baby was up on the bed where she used to sleep. And she looked over, and her ears went up, and rather than kind of like, nudging her head in a different direction. So I let her fixate, and she looked at my daughter, and she went and growled, and I was like, all right. And Nia was in the bathroom. She goes, did she just growl at our baby? And I go, yeah. And she goes, all right. I never felt bad about it again. But when she was out in Arizona, she lived with other dogs and became friends with another dog, which was just unheard of. And they would be like, Lynn would send me pictures where she would be spooning with another dog. I was so happy. Most of the videos he sent was her in the backyard, like scratching her back, like, rolling in the grass. It was funny. She kind of went out to Arizona for her golden years, like a retired conservative. And she lived out there. And I still got to see her like every 6 weeks. And I always, whenever she was in town, he would leave her at the vet, and I would drive down and I'd take her for a walk every single day. And I would always sit with her, and I'd pet her and I'd talk to her and everything. And I'm so thankful that there was a guy like Lynn in our lives that was able to really make, she was a miracle, man. That a dog with that breed, with those kinds of issues, lived a whole life, 13 years. So it was a success story. And I remember when I took her on, that I told her when she was a year older, like, I'm not going to let anything happen to you, buddy. So I feel like I kept my promise. And yeah, so that's it. The only thing that sucks about a dog is that someday they're going to die, right? Somebody sent me a quote or something like that. So there you go. There's that. There is that. So rest in peace. Oh, Cleo. I still do that. Every once in a while, I'll do that. If I drive by some of the old places where I lived with her, it always makes me feel good to yell her name out the window. I used to, when I would pull in when me and Nia had our first apartment, and she'd have the windows open. We didn't have any AC, but we get a nice breeze a little bit, so it wasn't too bad. Actually, it was pretty bad in July and August. I'm not going to lie to you, but she'd have the windows open with the screen. And as I would pull in, I had the Prius back then, so it was quiet. And I could pull in, and I would just yell out, oh, Cleo! And I'd hear like her dog collar move. And another move, like we had a little garage in the back. I have video of it on one of my computers. I got to find the thing. One of my computers, it's like as thick as a fucking laptop. I would have her sit all the way at the top of the stairs. And I'd walk down. We lived up on the second floor, and it was like, the crisscross stairs going down the back, all the way up the driveway, and I'd open up the hatchback. And I go, what do? I think I would go, I'd just go like that, and then she would just come bounding down the stairs. Sounded like she was falling. Dogs aren't as graceful as cats. And then she'd come tearing around the corner. I loved watching her run. It was like a thoroughbred, all those muscles and her just galloping. And she would leap, I swear to God, like 8 feet from the back of the car. I can't believe the Prius took it. And would just like land and stop on a dime, spin around, sit on her butt, and be wagging her tail, panting and all that. I go, all right, buddy, let's go. And I'd take her. It was awesome. And it was something funny, too, about riding around with a blue-nosed pit bull in a Prius. It's like, what is going on in that car? A lot of messages. So, yeah, rest in peace, buddy. There'll never be another one like you. You were a crazy dog, and I loved her. Loved her to death. So, rest in peace. So, all right, let's get on to something a little less sad.